Well, hi there, Andrew Bell. And as always, lots of action in the real estate market. I've been in the real estate industry for well over 40 years and through 6 real estate cycles. Now, whilst every cycle is different, they're all so much of the same. One of the features of the real estate cycle is the opportunistic sensationalisation of certain parts of the cycle by some media outlets. Usually in a rising market, it's the fear of people missing out on price rises. And in the correction phase of a market, it's the fear that they will lose money as prices readjust downwards. Whilst in the correction phase through my career, I've seen 4 previously poorly researched and over-sensationalised stories. 60 Minutes went to a whole new level last Sunday week. A number of previously unheard of so-called real estate experts went to a new level of fearmongering where they suggested that the real estate market as we know it was facing Armageddon and the property market would never be the same again. The same old story that I've heard 4 times previously, but of course never having come to fruition, because they keep forgetting one of the fundamentals of real estate. You and I and everybody else needs a place to live. We either buy our own home or someone has to buy one for us to rent out. And so there's a constant demand from our ever-growing population. Sure, prices go through cycles based on a couple of key factors such as the strength of our economy, interest rates, population growth, unemployment, housing affordability, and one of the key mixes is the ever-changing balance of supply and demand. In almost all of those above indexes, we have very strong green light. Housing affordability is the main amber light at present, with the current slowdown in the market. And some readjusting in Sydney and Melbourne, which are completely different markets to the rest of Australia. Responsible journalism would have seen a balanced story presented. Views from those who have concerns about the real estate market and views from experts, and there are many of them, who are very confident about our real estate market at present. But no, 60 Minutes wanted to sensationalise the story and searched around for 3 or 4 people around the country who could all share their negativity. It's been wonderful to see over the last 10 days or so that some of the most renowned Australian economists and some of the most astute research houses have all been highly critical of the 60 Minutes story. In fact, one of the people quoted in the story, Lewis Christopher, was so alarmed with how the story was presented, the fact that they had only aired part of his views on the market, that he ended up getting some additional airtime last Thursday to be very clear that he sees no downward trend in the real estate market of any concern, and at worst, a flat line with perhaps a modest upswing. The big message that was lost was that they were predominantly talking about Sydney and Melbourne. Markets all around the country are different, and they're driven by different local factors. And so again, the story just failed the test of authenticity or balance. I'm sure, like the 4 or so almost similar stories over the past 40 years, the 60 Minute story will just drift off into irrelevance land. They probably got the ratings they were looking for, but the real estate market will continue to be driven by its fundamentals and not by a news program. In fact, this last week's been one of the strongest weeks of 2018 for our office. There's been a lot of very substantial sales, with a particular surge in activity between 2 million bracket. It's also the week that we saw the minutes of the Reserve Bank meeting released, and in that it revealed that the Central Bank of Australia is broadly optimistic about our look for the Australian market moving forward. You know, the first half of this year was disrupted by the Commonwealth Games here on the Gold Coast, but this renewed activity here in our marketplace gives us great confidence as we run through into the lead up for 2019. Many of our sales have been coming from auction properties where there were 4 or 5 bidders on the properties, good strong demand, or indeed we're having a lot of sales happening prior to auction because of the strong demand and people not wanting to miss out. You know, I think the 60 Minutes credibility has been questioned for quite some years now with some highly irresponsible journalism. Now, on a completely separate note, we had an amazing night last Saturday night where we saw a record full house capacity at our Ray White Surfers Paradise Muscular Dystrophy Ball. 750 people made it a spectacular evening with enormous community goodwill. It resulted in us raising just over $150,000 to fight this dreaded muscular dystrophy disease that's affecting so many of our youth. This adds to over $3.2 million we have already raised to date, and we remain committed not only to supporting our local Southeast Queenslanders with muscular dystrophy, but also contributing to the research in finding a cure for this dreaded disease. A big thank you to all of those amazing contributors. Now, I trust you're enjoying our beautiful spring weather wherever you may be, and until I see you in a fortnight's time, stay safe.